Hey y'all, welcome to Geek Freaks. I am Frank. I'm here with Jonathan.
Hey y'all.
We are recording in person. Let's go ahead and start things off, guys. We have the Geek Freaks Pet Pantry going on for the next 2 months. We're raising money for the Elk Grove Animal Shelter. And we're also supporting a local business that we absolutely love, Beauty's Biscuits, where you could use code Geek Freaks for 20% off. They do these homemade, you can watch Sunny, amazing Sunny, Book of Lies podcast, make these biscuits herself. They go to fairs and stuff like that and hand them out over there. I'm a frequent customer. I actually have another order on its way right now. But check that out, Beauty's Biscuits. And as for the Geek Freaks Pet Pantry, there's a link in the description to go to the GoFundMe that will raise money directly for the Elk Grove Animal Shelter. And we're going to be pushing that for the next 2 months. Let's talk about some of our pets. Jonathan, you talk about Elsa, your dog.
Yeah, so I got a dog named Elsa. She's an Alaskan Malamute, all white. They typically have blue eyes. She has blue eyes, but with a brown spot in one eye. It's kind of unique, kind of cool. Let's see. We found her. We adopted her off of the streets. Really, we found her kind of wandering around. My father-in-law has an auto shop out, in a busy city, and he would just feed whatever stray dogs came around. Well, one time we were over there visiting him, and this stray dog comes up. She looks beautiful, very young, still a pup.
Yeah, she was like only 6-7 months old, right? When you guys got her.
And she had a lollipop stuck to her fur, which is just sad but funny at the same time. I don't know. So then we talked about maybe we should take that one home. And sure enough, before we left, it's like, I'll take that dog.
Mm-hmm.
So that was it. We took her in, we got her shots and all that stuff, cleaned her up. She's been through different seasons, and she lived in our house at one point, and then when we moved, she had to live outside and inside. But now we live out in the country, we got lots of space, so she mostly roams outside. But we have anytime there's bad weather, of course she comes in and stays with us. But she loves it. She's all over the neighborhood. Just sometimes a problem, but she's just such a well-behaved dog.
Extremely well-behaved. Yeah, nicest thing.
I don't want to get into a big story, but she pretty much doesn't bark, except for one time I remember we had a possum in the backyard.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is she barking? She doesn't bark. Sure enough, there's a threat. There's a possum back there, so we had to go take care of that. But so many dogs, just you can't stop them from barking. She is very calm and patient and quiet, so I couldn't have asked for a better dog, really.
I remember, one thing I love about her is every time you see her, she puts her head in your lap or in your arm or whatever. She really wants to kind of cuddle in with you.
Yeah.
But I remember when, because I was one of them that was trying to help potty train her in the early days, and we were trying to crate train her, and she was in your room and she got out. Remember that? And she destroyed the place. And of course, me being the content, I was like, I gotta film this. Just recorded the room, like, hey, Jonathan, check this out.
There was a point when we were trying to crate train her that she moved the crate off of the platform. Yeah. And she dug a hole into the carpet, chewed a hole through the carpet. It's like, oh crap. Yeah.
She definitely went through those terrible twos. That was for sure.
Yeah. But especially now that she's older, she's slowed down a lot. Oh, yeah. She's just, she's always been friendly. If she wasn't so big, she'd be a good lap dog.
She really would be, yeah. She drops about 3 pounds of hair a day, but
yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, and she's at least 55 pounds herself. Yeah, she's a huge dog.
So guys, let us know about your pets. We'd love to hear about it online on all of our social media channels. We'll be sharing different pet stories throughout the next couple of weeks. And again, support the Elk Grove Animal Shelter with us. Link in the description. All right, so this week in the news, we had the Brazil D23. They're trying to do, there's a big convention down in Brazil. It's kind of becoming this big thing in Rio de Janeiro specifically. We got all kinds of cool new stuff. First off, we have that brand new Thunderbolts trailer that shows a lot more of the character dynamics in between each of these different characters. What were your thoughts on this?
It looks really good. It looks polished, and it's a good mix between the action kind of spy thriller genre and a little bit of the sci-fi. I realized watching it, that's probably why I haven't seen Black Widow and some of the Captain America stuff, is it's all very, guns and bombs and spy stuff. Yeah. And it doesn't have the sci-fi element that you see in Thor and a bunch of other stuff. And that's what I realized I like in all of what we watch, is more the sci-fi side of things. So I think that's why there's a lot of, Marvel that I just kind of haven't seen or stay detached from. Though I think this does a pretty good job. It looks like it does a pretty good job at kind of bridging the two. Yeah. And it just looks really, really clean.
Yeah, because with this one, we're definitely going to be getting Sentry, who is a Superman level hero with a split personality complex. It's the most, broad strokes version of him. And he's going to be the bad guy, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be seeing those ground level heroes fight the one of the hardest things they could ever fight, which is basically Superman gone mad.
Yeah.
That's going to be cool, but also just the dynamics between these different players.
Yeah.
One of the things that I caught this time I didn't catch last time is the fact that it looks like Red Guardian, who is this old Soviet version of, Captain America.
Yeah.
Who's aged out, and he's, the pseudo dad for Black Widow.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh, that's Winter Soldier. He's excited to see Winter Soldier. And
he's like geeking out a little bit over it.
Right. I didn't think about how Winter Soldier was off and on ice throughout the last 100 years. So he knew him as a badass, assassin back in the day. It probably was a nemesis and an ally at some fight. Like they had their own things back then. And I can't wait for that dialogue between those two. Like, what happened to you?
Right.
From Winter Soldier.
Yeah, you can imagine like he might have the baseball card, or whatever of him from 50 years ago.
Dude, I hope they do that.
Collectible. Yeah.
Some like really crappy Soviet baseball card, like
or something that was signed by him back then, or something.
Yeah. That would be wonderful.
That'd be great.
Oh man. So yeah, it does look like it's going to be a fun story, fun romp.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to establish that with this next one we're going to be talking about, Captain America, is going to establish the difference between the government and the superheroes, which I think in the MCU so far has been shaky.
Yeah.
Like we see Secret Invasion, they kind of were a little bit mixed up. Civil War was definitely mixed up, but in the comic books, there's a little bit more of a clear divide where like Shield and Sword, like they all have their clear divides.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to start getting that too, where you're going to see the Avengers need to be assembled outside of the U.S. government so that they can kind of hold their own morality.
That's something we've seen from the very beginning of X-Men is it's a very transparent, like we are our own thing. The government doesn't even know we exist in most cases and stuff like that. So I think that's smart. I think we're seeing the growing pains through Civil War and stuff like that of we didn't plan this out very well. And now, we have to establish that, but that'll be pretty cool.
One of the things is not on our notes here, but Kevin Feige mentioned that the X-Men are coming into the MCU after Secret War, which is going to be basically collapsing all the multiverses into one universe.
Yeah.
And that's when the X-Men will become a big player. I think that's important because we need to establish, this is Captain America, this is, Iron Man, this is the Avengers, because there are a lot of times, unfortunately, where like Captain America, who is definitely not like tied to the American government, but is kind of a pseudo-American government representative, obviously, is used to show how the X-Men are on the outs. He's worked with them many times, but also these people mistreat the X-Men too. So they think they need to show that like our heroes can be wrong and I still like them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. They could try to stand for the government and be taking a stance to, support what they think is supporting the people.
Yeah.
But in the end, it's, turning its back on a different group of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how they move forward with that. I think we got two movies right here that are really setting up these like grounded heroes very well. Captain America: Brave New World. We got a new trailer for that shows a lot more of the combat. What did you think of this one?
Yeah, that one, I see less of the sci-fi elements and more of just kind of an action movie. So it's definitely less my cup of tea.
Less humor as well.
Yeah.
Than Thunderbolts.
But so I'm sure there's a whole large group of people that love movies like Mission Impossible and stuff like that.
Well,
that
you're looking at
this
one.
is exactly this is like right up their alley. So I'm sure there's going to be, and Disney, pretty much everything Disney makes is good, So I don't think it's going to be hard for them to turn a good profit out of this one. But yeah, might not be for me. Like I didn't see the Black Widow movie.
Yeah.
And so if I go to watch these, I'm going to have to do a lot of catch up as well.
You do need to watch that. You need to watch the Captain America series.
Oh,
spoiler alert. It's called Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but at the end it becomes Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Or Bucky, or maybe even. So you do want to watch that. That's a really good show. That kind of is a lot of this underground spy thriller stuff.
Yeah.
Totally worth the watch. You could skip Secret Invasion for sure.
I did watch the first few episodes of that and I was like, this is really rough.
Did you finish Agatha all along?
Yeah.
I love that show. But yeah, so I think this is going to be a much needed refresh for the MCU. And I think that this version of Captain America, the Sam Wilson combat we're seeing, is showing the homage to the original Captain America while also showing Sam's special additions to because I think a lot of people online get a little antsy saying, oh, he's not our Steve Rogers. Like, no, he's definitely not. And even in the trailer, they point that out.
So do you know what he means when he says that? Like, yeah, I'm not Steve Rogers. I'm somebody else. What would you say are the big differences between the two?
I have a feeling at that point, knowing kind of how he developed his character in the series as well, he's probably trying to be Steve Rogers as much as possible. And then at a turning point realizes like, no, I've got wings. I'm a little bit more hardcore. I could step out. Like there was a point in the comic books when Winter Soldier is Captain America.
Yeah.
And he uses a gun. And so it's like the shield and gun in one hand. It's classic comic book cover. And it's like, yeah, you could still be Captain America and not Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
I think that's the moment he realizes that.
I think I can't speak right now. Steve Rogers sticks very strong and hard to a moral code and a moral compass.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes he's probably seeing that you got to break that every once in a while. Like, running with a shield and a gun, you're not just knocking people out and pushing them to the side, or they get knocked off the boat and they're going to get rescued by somebody. You're shooting them dead as you're fighting. Like that's hard, but these guys are trying to kill, a larger group or something like that.
Well, and we're seeing like where he's knocking those missiles out of the sky. That's over, I think his name's Tiamat. It's the, from Eternals, the big metal guy that becomes metal.
Yeah.
And they had mentioned that's how they're going to introduce adamantium into the MCU.
Yeah.
So that's why all the governments want this stuff, because like, hey, it's a vibranium alternative. And the American government wants to get in on that. So there's going to be something, I think, where Sam Wilson's going to be like, that's not right for us to do this, like that, or whatever it is, and have to turn on the military, which I think that's something that Steve Rogers might 100% not do.
I see. Because Steve Rogers was from the beginning this Americana guy who is a representative of, American values. And Sam Wilson might be saying like, well, I represent people and freedom and peace and not necessarily the American government, but peace between all people. Yeah.
Yeah. Or even that. And like, not to bash Steve Rogers in any way. I mean, literally in the MCU, the Civil War, he turned against the American government during that too, because they wanted to register everybody.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to get a more defined line for that with Sam Wilson. Let alone the fact that he just looks like the way he lands and has that sonic boom come behind him. Just freaking cool looking. Yeah. This is going to be really awesome. And then he has a helmet that we haven't seen before. So, and he's going to have a Falcon on his 6 too. So we're going to have 2 Falcon, wings flying around.
Yeah.
It's going to be dope.
That's cool.
We have some concept art for Avatar Fire and Ash, and I had to clarify to you, that's the blue people.
Yeah. I was like, oh wait, never. I was excited. Like, wait, is this a new video game or something like that from Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, no, it's the blue people. I'm like, oh, okay, never mind.
What do you think about, have you seen I don't think you've watched it. Have you watched Avatar 2?
Oh yeah. The water one. Yeah.
How did you like
me
it?
and Squeaks and I think it was Sammy.
Okay. I skipped out on that
came
one.
out. Yeah. I thought it was pretty good. I mean,
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Knowing it, maybe I wouldn't go to the theaters again to see it. I'd probably see it at home. The whole world it's beautiful, but it's not really a story I needed to see. I think it was pretty well done.
I think they're longer than they need to be. Those movies.
Yeah.
I do like them a lot, but that one I watched at home and I watched in 2 parts, and I think that's how it should be enjoyed.
There you go. Yeah. And some of the story just didn't really make sense to me. Like, I don't know, the writing, and I'm sure these were probably written a long time ago. I don't know. I know they have a comic book series.
No, this isn't a comic book series. This is all just James Cameron doing some stuff.
Okay. Yeah. It just seemed like a kind of a shallow plot, but I don't know. It looks great. I know they put a lot of money into the CGI and stuff like that, so maybe that's what they're focused on.
Well, this one we're going to have 2 new tribes joining the fight. So we have the Air Tribe, which they have these big flying balloon type things. We saw the concept art of that. I think they might be living creatures even, because they have the tentacles going down to the ground, which I'm like, okay, I think that's, how they feel things.
Yeah.
And then we have the Fire Tribe, which are apparently bad Na'vi.
Oh.
So I presume they're going to be working with the humans to take over the planet. And they probably made some deal with the humans and they believed it. Yeah. And the humans are going to just take over everything.
Yeah. Well, should be exciting.
It should be good. I know Squeaks is going to be crazy for this, and we're going to definitely have him go out there for the review. I'll try to get him early tickets.
Yeah.
For me, it's just okay. It's interesting. But.
So early on, the first one, I don't remember how much it was, but I know it was like record-breaking cost to make this movie. It was huge expensive. Do you think they're going to be stepping down how much they invest in these sequels, because sequels don't usually have the same return as the first movie?
No, because actually Disney has said this is one of their new tentpole IPs.
Oh, okay.
So much like Marvel, Star Wars, Avatar. They consider it on par with those two, which is a very high bar.
Yeah. So if this is successful in what they're hoping for, making this such a magical, franchise that people embrace through the multiple, iterations.
Yeah.
I could totally see them making a segment in one of their parks, or
they already have
an Avatar. Oh, really?
Just not in our park, their park.
Oh,
in Disney World, there's already a segment for this.
Bring it over here.
I know, right?
Yeah.
We're the OG park. What the heck? So yeah, hopefully we do get a ride for it, because there is like they have the Animal Kingdom stuff that's all like you're walking around on Pandora. So hopefully we do get a little bit of that over here. That'd be nice. Ice Age 6 has been announced. Now here's the trick with this, guys. Ice Age has always been made by Fox. It's made by Blue Sky Studios.
Yeah.
This is the first time it's going to be made by Disney because they bought Fox. So Ice Age, I think, has just generally been solid flicks.
Yeah.
They're like just below Kung Fu Panda for me. Like I'll watch them, but not crazy for it.
They're a good B-level, movie. Like you probably won't see it in theaters, maybe if you got nothing to do, but if nothing else, you watch it when it's at home.
Sometimes I'm in the mood to just like, I'll put on a cartoon I haven't seen before. Again, still got to watch all the Inside Outs. I know both of them are very good.
What are you doing?
But like Soul was really good, stuff like that. So I'm hoping Disney can step up the game on Ice Age and make it even better. As a dad, do you think Marco would be excited for something like this?
I think so. Right now, especially he likes animals. Especially he's focused on sea creatures. He had this big old hang up on space. Now he's kind of moving on to sea creatures. But yeah. So I think if we show him this movie, it'd be an easy win.
Does he go? How long does the phase last? Because you got to buy toys and stuff like that to match. Or you just
avoid
it?
Yeah. I mean, most of the stuff that he gets excited is like because he watched a new YouTube clip that had a different element to it or whatever. So I mean, for his bath toys, he's got a bunch of sea creatures because that just makes sense. But in his room, we have stars and planets and stuff like that. So we just keep getting a little. If we're gonna buy him something, we'll just buy whatever matches his current interest, and we know it's gonna pass pretty soon.
What about? Have you ever introduced him to one of your fandoms, like Avatar: Last Airbender?
I've had him watch it, but it hasn't grasped yet.
Okay,
he's not hung up on it yet. But once he does, I mean, I'm gonna quickly get him an arrow tattoo so that it does not go away. No, that'd be terrible. Maybe henna comes off.
There we go. Andor season 2, we have a release date now. It's gonna be April 22nd. I think Andor might be the best thing that Star Wars is doing.
Yeah, I can't wait for it. And like we talked before, like I like the sci-fi, not so much the spy drama and stuff. This is a beautiful mix of the two.
Yeah,
I love it. It has plenty of I mean, it's all in space and on these different planets and stuff like that. It has all the sci-fi elements, but it has this deep and really rich, dramatic, like spy thriller to it. So I love it. I love that story.
I really like this actor too, Diego, who plays Andor himself.
Yeah.
I hope he gets some more roles because man, he's so good in this. Of course, he played in Terminal.
We have to mention that every time. Yeah.
But hopefully, he gets some more stuff after Andor is done. What else can we see that's kind of on the same ground level as Star Wars, or in Star Wars?
Oh geez, I don't know. Like you're talking about what other kind of series can we make?
Yeah, because I think we're getting a lot of like the building of the rebellion. We have Rebels and stuff like that shows that, but I would like to get more outside of that particular timeline that shows the Star Wars universe. We always mention the pirates. Of course, the pirates are on the table, but it would be nice to kind of see more of the day-to-day life of people who live on these planets.
Yeah. So we have sorry, I'm itchy. We have what's his name? I can't remember his name. Paul such and such. But Mr. Kim from Kim Convenience.
Okay, yeah, Paul Sung-Hung Lee.
Paul Sung-Hung Lee. There you go. Who plays one of the pilots, the X-Wing pilot, right? So I was thinking that'd be kind of cool to have a series that is like their flight school academy or something like that.
Oh, heck
showing these people training, because you train, we see like these things get picked off out of the sky and it's just a little burning ball and it's quick and, not so significant to us, but they were training with each other for, 10 years or something like that to be able to, or maybe less, but they know these people really well. And so when one of your brothers in arms dies, how traumatic is it for them? So I think we could see building a lot of characters real close knit like that, and then them going into battle and the challenges that they see like that.
So I have a couple options as you're saying this. First off, you could put it back in this time period, and they're trying to create a flight school in the shadows so that the Empire doesn't know that they're training X-Wing pilots.
Yeah, there you go.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Secondly, you could have after they win, and then you have Paul Sung-Hung Lee's time when we see him in The Mandalorian, where they're out there patrolling the Outer Rims, where the Republic is still building again.
There you go.
So they can't have the ability. So they're fighting like little Empire outlets or whatever,
And pirates. That's how you can introduce the pirates. Is these guys are police.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Empires. I thought you said empires. I'm like empires. Oh my god, it's a whole new thing. But what if it's also the Clone Wars? Because if in the Clone Wars they're training these pilots, and then you have that sad realization that they're dying to robots, to droids, and so it's like, why are we wasting our life? Because we're just dying, and then these clones come in that replace you and stuff like that. There's all kinds of like, you'd have a clone come in and like trying to figure out what your relationship is with clones and stuff, and they age faster than you do,
and like questioning like the value of life, kind of thing, versus like all these droids they lose in war. I think that'd be great.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty cool.
I think that would be something special. Let's add more to Andor, because this is one season or 2 seasons is just simply not enough of this show. I think it's too expensive for them to keep making. Yeah, frankly, probably they use good actors and stuff like that, so that happens. And then we have an announcement. This is outside of Brazil's D23. Lucas Film announced that they're making 3 new Star Wars movies, a trilogy, all created by Simon Kinberg. So the key with this, there are other Star Wars movies in the works, but they're all standalones.
Yeah.
This is specifically a trilogy. And at first, when it was first announced by Deadline, They said it was going to be a continuation of the Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
Then they said, well, we're hearing sources that it's not a continuation, it's a separate trilogy.
Yeah.
Which would you prefer, another Skywalker saga or outside of that?
I think outside of that, starting a new trilogy, a whole new era would be, I think, better for the franchise in general. I think the Skywalker thing's been played out and it's great. We, have seen so much of it. But yeah, and it doesn't have to be like this trilogy and then it's over. Like start a new trilogy and see how the fans like this brand new adventure that you put together and build on it if people like it.
Yeah. I actually think it should be a Skywalker trilogy. And this is why, because we already have other standalone movies coming up. And I think if you kind of can service both sides of the fandom, because boy, Star Wars fandom is so freaking toxic. It's just unbearable. You have people who are willing to give everything a shot, like the world of Star Wars, and just like, hey, let's show every corner. And then you have the other side of that that's like, it's lightsabers and lightsabers, guys. I don't care about anything else. I don't care about people's feelings. I just want to see lightsabers hit each other. Yeah. So it's like, okay, let's just give them both then, because we could have our standalone stuff that'll explore different corners of people. And then we could have the Skywalker saga that's like, yeah, just tell the story of, Luke Skywalker's kids. You could just do that or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. I mean, just keep going with what works. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a shame that we can't enjoy things anymore.
I think it needs to evolve. Like, you need change. So even if it is going to continue in the Skywalker saga, there's got to be, some major differences in what we're seeing. Like, I don't know, the Jedi start to become corrupted and the New Order's already got problems and it's going to be dissolved and reformed or something. I don't know. There's got to be something crazy.
Like that. Yeah, but even that feels like it's been played out.
Yeah.
You know what movie I keep returning to is that D&D movie.
Yeah.
It was such a freaking good movie.
That was.
And all it was like, hey, we're going to tell a small story in a world you're pretty familiar with if you know Dungeons & Dragons at all.
Yeah.
Why can't we just do that? Why is that so hard to do?
A ship crash landed on a planet.
Boom.
It happened to be, 3 stormtroopers and some, Sith apprentice.
They were transporting a bunch of Wookiees.
Yeah.
And now the Wookiees broke out and are loose.
Yeah. And you got to hunt them down.
There you go. We just made a good movie, Jonathan, right there. Right? Predator, but with the Star Wars stuff. Yeah.
The Wookiees, they use the elements against them and they end up killing them and taking the ship and they know how to fix it. So they restore it and they get off the planet by the end. I like it.
And the last thing you see is them like heading towards a rebel base and like joining the rebels and stuff.
And the Wookiees like made friends with the natives on the planet while they're at it too.
Ewoks, why not?
Yeah.
We've already got Ewoks on the story.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I like it.
There you go. Lucasfilm, once again, please get a hold of us. We'll help you guys out.
Yep.
All right. That's it for the news. It's been a pretty light news week. It's been a lot of Brazilian D23. Boy, brain cells are firing today. We're going to head into a review. But first, Jonathan, let's talk about Magic Mind. We both have used Magic Mind for a long time. We're talking about how much it helps us stay focused in the morning while not creating that jittery feeling or anything like that. Can you talk a little bit about Magic Mind?
Yeah, I got to say, every once in a while, if I'm busy around the house, or especially if we're going to take a trip somewhere, before I used to bring an energy drink.
Yeah.
And I would pound an energy drink and think like, oh yeah, I'm going to get a lot done. I get like hyperactive, shaky a little bit. And sure, I move fast and stuff, but my focus isn't there. I just don't feel healthy, obviously.
Yeah.
But when you use Magic Mind, it's just totally different. You're sharp and clear and focused, but I mean, you feel like you would like your surgeon to be if you're going to go into surgery or something. You're able to focus without being shaky or jittery or hyperactive or anything like that. So I like that. It just kind of, it's not like a night and day transformation of who you are. No, you can just you're just feeling a little bit more clear and on point versus, drowsy or groggy or, jittery.
Yeah. Guys, links in the description to get yourself an order of Magic Mind and then use the code to get 20% off. All right. So next up, we're going to be talking about Dragon Age: The Veilguard. John, have you had a chance to play? What game are you playing right now?
I'm not playing any games.
What are you, like a dad?
Yeah. Right. I just reviewed my chore list and realized, man, I'm getting behind on some chores.
Yeah.
Last time I tried to use my computer, I was trying to play Satisfactory, which is a great game and it's fully released now. And my computer can barely run it. It can't keep up. And then I'm really realizing like regular web browser stuff is starting to get slow too. So definitely need to upgrade my computer. I have an Xbox One and don't play anything on that. So my computer was my gaming system and it's out of date. So nothing right now.
I didn't realize how old your computer had gotten, but then it was like, wait, that was like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Jesus.
Yeah, it is time to upgrade. And I've got a new graphics card since 8 years ago. So just to clarify how long it's been. Oh yeah. Okay, so I was playing Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Brand new game just came out from BioWare. I liked Dragon Age Inquisition, so I was looking forward to a continuation of that. Now, a couple of quick things just right off the bat. First off, combat is far faster than Inquisition. It's a whole, it kind of pushes aside the strategy-based combat of the old games and now embraces this faster pace, more modern combat that we're seeing from like Final Fantasy and whatnot. Visually beautiful. There are plenty of times where I stopped and like, oh, that's way cool how they have this planet floating by or something like that.
That's some of the most fun in some games. And you just kind of explore the environment and you're like, damn, somebody put a lot of time into this guy. It looks really cool. I just want to spend a little time in this world. Yeah.
There's plenty of times where that you're on rails. It's not open world, but you don't feel too constrained.
Yeah.
The hub places are very, a lot of places to explore and you'll find secrets if you do. And then of course there's the story and the characters. The story, solid story. There's it can bog down in the middle, I've realized, but it's a solid story where you're trying to basically stop these two gods that got out in the very beginning. I like how it does the Call of Duty entrance is what I call it, where it puts you in the middle of a major story already, major mission, and you failed it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, now we got to undo what we just failed. So it's a Call of Duty move, but they did it in this one.
That sounds like our D&D campaign.
Yeah, well, that's the truth. You guys weren't meant to fail it, but just you had so many other plans. But yeah, so that's how it starts off. And then a lot of it is like just trying to, I find myself wanting to do all the side quests.
Yeah.
Because you push up all the companions you're with. Okay. Because this is one of those games where every single decision you make in talking in dialogue and stuff like that affects how the story's going to go, how your companions react to you. You can fall in love with some of them, Bellaria all day. And yeah, so it kind of changes based off of all that.
Nice.
It's a really, really great RPG that I haven't had a good Western RPG in a long time. And it reminds me like Fable, those old classic ones that we used to play a lot. Skyrim, but it's third person, and yeah, the decisions are really impactful. And what I like is the game automatically saves before you enter into a conversation because you might have messed up. And if you messed up and you were like said something like, "Oh no, I was offensive to that guy. I didn't mean to be.
Yeah,
I just accidentally pressed that button." You could go back to the save. Yeah, because they were having problems with that.
Oh, that's good.
Have you played any games like that in a while?
I don't think so. I can't think of it. I mean, honestly, I haven't played hardly anything since my son's been born. So it's been 3 years.
I think you played Fable, right?
No.
Trying to remember what games you might have. Yeah,
Fable's one where you like kick a chicken and then you get called the chicken. Yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah.
Oblivion was the closest thing that
that doesn't have this though. Like this one has like Knights of the Old Republic made by the same company and stuff like that. There's all these things where the things you do impact the game, and it really makes you think about it. It's really quite a fun system to have in the game, and it makes me actually care about these companions. I've gone purposely like, hey, your next mission doesn't go this way. I'm like, okay, hold on, before I do that, let me go check in with everybody.
Yeah.
And it adds more missions to you, and you can flirt with some, or you like continuing the beef with others.
Yeah.
One of the famous early decisions, I say early because it's like in hour 10. It's a 60-hour game. But one of the early decisions is where you have to choose to save one city or other. There's a dragon attacking each city. And so you could choose, and of course a companion came from each city, so they're going to care. Yeah. And one city is, it has these crows that are kind of like an assassin's guild that protects the city, kind of the law for the land, and they protect the people there. The other city has a bunch of like mages that kind of run the city and stuff. And I choose the crow side because I felt like, well, the other side looks like they have more people and they're really worried about, and they were really worried about like, if they were to defend against a dragon, which sounds like they could successfully do, that their adversaries, the Venatari, were going to, take the seat of power. It's like, that seems like something we can handle.
Yeah.
These guys don't have that. These are a bunch of assassins versus a dragon. They'll be outmatched. And other than that, it's just regular people. And online, my TikTok feed is always, right now, it's all Dragon Age and politics. Yeah. But there's so many people arguing for both sides of that particular choice.
Yeah.
And one lady who, I don't know what her background is, but you could swear it's got to be in like city structured, whatever. Because she's breaking down like, well, this is a port city. And so when they go down, it'll affect these different regions. Yeah. But the city that most people didn't pick, which is one I didn't pick, the one full of mages.
Yeah.
They said that's actually a major city that supports all these surrounding towns. And so now you affect all those towns. And it's like, oh man, I love the depth that this game goes into.
Yeah.
You can really dig that into. Yeah. But yeah, it's a really solid game. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10.
Well, so the way you're describing that, your how you react changes the outcome of the game.
Yeah.
It seems like such a smart mechanic to put in the game because I'm sure it takes a lot of work, a lot more planning. Yeah. You have to pretty much write a lot more stories that don't get used. But that means if you go back and replay this game and you intentionally just make some different decisions, say, you know, this time I'm going to play a little more of a selfish jerk or whatever, you'll get a totally different game, right?
Famously, BioWare games work that way. People online, a lot of people are saying that, hey, I'm playing my second time through. This time I'm romancing this person, or this time I'm really spitting down on these people and stuff like that. You can definitely play that way.
That's cool.
For Knights of the Old Republic, I always generally play as Fallout calls him the Jesus character. Like it's all good, the paladin of the group. I generally play that way. But I went back to Knights of the Old Republic purposely playing like a Sith asshole. Yeah. And it was a whole different experience. It was great. And what was fun was at the end, I ended up doing the same choice because I was like, well, as a Jedi, when you find out you've been betrayed, I'd still want to save as many people as possible. So I'm like, okay, I would go this way. Yeah. But then as a Sith, I was like, wait a minute, I just found out I was betrayed. Oh, I'm going to burn that guy down who's trying to kill all those people.
So I'm going to kill the bad guys.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm still being good.
It's almost a redemption arc if it wasn't such a selfish move.
Yeah, it's just at the end, I'm like striking down all the Sith or I'm becoming the Unsith. It's the best thing. That's funny. It's a really fun mechanic, but it does add a lot of story. It adds a lot of recorded lines. It adds a lot of expense. BioWare happens to be known for it.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm sure I have to upgrade my computer before I'm able to play it.
This bad boy does not even land on Xbox One. It is Xbox Series X only. It is very heavy duty. Yeah. The combat is so fast. Yeah. It's crazy. Dang. Yeah. And we had a bet going on, me and Squeaks, where Squeaks had to pick my class. If I had lost, the Cowboys lost. I'm watching them lose right now behind you. Yeah. And yeah, sure enough, he picked one that I would not have played normally, but it took some time, but I'm getting used to it. Mm-hmm. And I'm this rogue duelist that has to like dodge and parry a lot more than I would normally play in a video game. Yeah. And I'm watching people online play the mage. I'm like, that's what I wanted to do. But hey, that's what the second gameplay is for. Yeah. It's a blast, guys. Again, 8 out of 10, totally worth picking up if you haven't played it yet. And I feel like it's going to be on sale for Black Fridays if you want to wait for that. Nice. Totally worth it. Yeah. All right. I know this is a short one, but we're going to go right into network news. So for what's nice is we're heading into that time of year where everybody's off season. Yeah. So, Outlast Podcast has a few more episodes to go, but our Geek Freaks interviews are done until February. They're already booked, but they're in February. Challenge accepted. We have an episode for Veep coming out next week. And then we're also going to be doing a grand review for The Penguin and Arcane. We're going to do Arcane next week on we're going to do Arcane and Penguin also on Geek Freaks next week, too. Don't get me wrong on that, but it'll be on Challenge Accepted. And we just got done doing Twilight with very special guest Christina, wife of Thomas. Yeah. And holy cow, there's so much vampire lore in those movies I did not know about.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh my God, dude. She read all the books like twice. She read all the books. Ugh,
I wish I could Harry Potter had like a depth to it, but it's got these young horny teens. There's so much more fan fiction, I'm sure.
I know there was like, oh my God, so much stuff she knew. It was really fascinating, actually. You got to be actually kind of a fan of it. Yeah. And then and so we got Challenge Accepted. Who's Got Next Game podcast is going to be on a break because of we got a new baby in the family. And then Phantom Portals is also on a break due to technical difficulties. Poor Aaron. He likes to bank his episodes, which is what a good podcaster does. Yeah. He banked up his episodes. All the files got corrupted. Oh. I know. Crushing.
I would be so upset.
Oh, my God. So give some support to Phantom Portals, to Aaron over there. Poor guy's going through it right now. I hate when that happens. We've all got technical difficulties, but the banked episodes, that's rough.
And re-recording is never the same. It's so hard to re-record the topic you already talked about.
Oh, yeah. And then we have Lore Master coming out on the 23rd. So you're going to start seeing art and stuff like that coming out for that right now. I'm actually working with the artist right now for the covers. So that'll be out pretty soon. All right, guys. Thank you very much for hanging out with us this week, and we'll see you next one. Bye.